My name is Grace. I was adopted at 6 weeks old, and growing up, I used to think I won the lottery. My parents, Evelyn and Marcus, couldn't have kids on their own, and they gave me everything. A warm home, birthday cakes, ballet lessons, lullabies at night. For the longest time, I truly believed I was their miracle. And then, Madeline was born. Miracle number two. My younger sister wasn't adopted. She came unexpectedly, almost like a wish granted too late. And from the moment she arrived, it was like a switch flipped in our home, as if everything before her had been a dress rehearsal, and now the real show could begin. Madeline was the golden child. If I got an A, she got applause for AB plus dot. If I won an art contest, they'd say, "But look at Maddie's macaroni necklace. Isn't that precious?" At first, I thought I was being paranoid. Jealous, even. But no, it became a pattern. Madeline cried. The world stopped. I cried. You're too sensitive, Grace. As we got older, the difference deepened. I was the responsible one. The one who cleaned up, stayed out of trouble, got into college on scholarships, and worked 2 jobs to pay for grad school. Madeline? She flunked out of college in her first year and never held a job longer than 6 months. But my parents? They always had an excuse ready. She's just finding herself. She's going through a rough patch. She'll land on her feet. She's our Maddie. And me? I was the one expected to understand, to step aside, to be the bigger person. I learned to live with the imbalance. Or maybe I just got good at pretending it didn't hurt. I got married to Elijah, the sweetest, most grounded man I've ever known. We were excited to start our family. After a miscarriage and a rough pregnancy, I was finally in my 3rd trimester, healthy and glowing. Elijah and I planned a beautiful baby shower with my best friend organizing most of it. The date was set. Invitations were sent. Everything was perfect. Until the morning everything shattered. I got a phone call from my best friend Ava, her voice shaking. Grace, did you cancel the shower? What? I asked, completely confused. No. Why would I? Well, your mom did. She called everyone and said it's off. I felt like the air had been knocked out of my lungs. What do you mean my mom canceled it? It's my baby shower. There was a pause. And then Ava said it. She told everyone it wouldn't be appropriate, because of Madeline. I froze. Because of what? Because Maddie's going through a divorce. She said it wouldn't be fair to celebrate a baby while your sister is suffering. I couldn't speak. Couldn't even cry. In that one moment, I realized I had never been the daughter. I was the placeholder. The second-class citizen. The supporting role in my own life story. And now? My mother had canceled the first real celebration of my child's life to protect the feelings of her divorcing daughter? I knew I had to confront her. But I didn't yet know that the betrayal went deeper than I could have ever imagined. I called my mom the moment I hung up with Ava. I was shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. My heart was pounding, my stomach turning. But there was no way I was letting this slide. She picked up on the second ring. Oh, hi honey, she said, like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just detonated a bomb in my life. Did you cancel my baby shower? I asked. My voice wasn't calm. It was clipped. Cold. She hesitated. Yes. But Grace, please don't overreact. Overreact? Are you kidding me? Why would you do that without even telling me? Her sigh was long and dramatic. Because I knew you'd get emotional, and frankly, I didn't want to fight about it. You didn't want to fight, so you just made a decision about my baby without me? It's not about you, she snapped, and then instantly softened her tone like she hadn't said it. Sweetheart, your sister is going through such a hard time. You know how fragile she is. She just found out her husband was cheating. She's devastated. And I'm 8 months pregnant, I said flatly. With a child she doesn't even ask about. You don't understand, she said. She was so upset about the idea of watching you unwrap baby gifts while her life is falling apart. So, what? You thought ruining my day would help? I didn't ruin anything, she said sharply. I simply postponed it. We can reschedule when things calm down. I almost laughed. Reschedule? Like a dentist appointment? I didn't say anything for a few seconds. And that silence? That's when it hit her. You're angry, she said, almost surprised. I couldn't hold it anymore. You chose her. Again. You always choose her. My entire life has been about making sure Madeline is okay. And now, even when I'm bringing life into this world, you still find a way to make it about her. She scoffed. This isn't about favoritism. Yes, it is, I snapped. You photoshopped me out of my own baby registry because Maddie is sad. You're being cruel, she said. I did what I thought was best for the family. No, she did what was best for Maddie. I ended the call. I couldn't listen to her twisted version of reality anymore. Ava, bless her heart, tried to fix what she could. She reached out to everyone again, re-explained everything, even offered her backyard as an emergency location. But the damage had been done. Half the guests were confused. A few awkwardly declined. The excitement was gone. And in its place, this gnawing, familiar ache. That no matter how much I give, how much I grow, how much I build, my family would always find a way to erase me when it was inconvenient. But this time, I wasn't going to disappear quietly. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering when I became disposable to the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. The canceled shower wasn't just an isolated act. It was a culmination of everything I had swallowed quietly for years. I was done swallowing. The next morning, I got a message from my cousin Lindsay. She was supposed to fly in for the shower, but had canceled last minute. Hey, sorry again about the party. Your mom told us Madeline needed the support more. I stared at the screen, jaw tightening. Needed the support more. Madeline, the sister who hadn't once asked how my pregnancy was going. The sister who had never visited, never sent a gift, never even texted unless it was about her own drama. And that's when something shifted. I messaged Lindsay back. I need to tell you something. About Maddie's divorce. See, what no one else knew, not my mom, not my dad, not even Maddie herself, was that I had proof. I wasn't supposed to know the whole story behind her divorce. But Elijah, well, his best friend works IT at the law firm where Maddie's ex-husband filed. And in that little flurry of fate, I found out the truth. Maddie didn't just discover her husband cheated. She cheated first, repeatedly, with someone from her gym, then another someone from her old job. And when she got caught, she played victim like it was second nature. I had sat on that information for months, not wanting to weaponize it, not wanting to be that sister. But after my baby shower was torched in the name of her victimhood, I had nothing left to protect. I started with my cousin, then my aunt. Then Ava helped me craft a post. Honest, calm, and devastatingly clear. I didn't name names. I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I simply laid out what had happened. My baby shower was canceled without my consent, not because of any emergency or scheduling issue, but to spare someone else's feelings. Someone who, for years, has taken priority in our family, even when she was the one causing harm. I'm tired of being the one who's silenced for the sake of peace. I deserve joy. I deserve space. And I will no longer shrink myself to keep others comfortable. I hit post, and I waited. The reactions were immediate. Some family members called me brave. Others called me dramatic. But more than anything, the silence from my mother's phone number told me everything I needed to know. She had seen it, and she was furious. Good, because for the first time, I wasn't afraid of her anger. My mother didn't call. Not that day, not the next. Not even after 2 more relatives messaged me privately, saying, "You really shook the table with that post." And then came the group chat ambush. A family chat I had long muted suddenly lit up like a Christmas tree on fire. It started with my aunt, Aunt Carol. "Grace, airing private family issues online is inappropriate and immature." Then my uncle chimed in. "Uncle Ron, your mother did what she thought was right. She was trying to protect Madeline." Protect her? From what, my joy? Finally, the queen herself entered the ring. "Mom, I'm deeply disappointed in you. I thought you were better than this." That was the moment I realized something very important. They weren't upset about what they did. They were upset that I refused to let it stay hidden. I didn't respond in the chat. Instead, I sent my mom a private message. "You erased me, and you expected me to smile and say thank you. I won't do that anymore." She left it on read. Later that night, Madeline texted me for the first time in months. "Madeline, did you seriously have to bring up the divorce? You're disgusting." I stared at the message for a long time. This was the girl they protected? The one whose emotional state had to be coddled at my expense? I typed one sentence. "I didn't bring up your divorce. You did, when you used it to cancel my baby shower." She didn't respond. And in that silence, I felt something crack, not in a bad way, in a necessary way, like breaking down the door of a burning house. I told Elijah everything. Every message. Every word. He didn't say much. Just took my hand, kissed my knuckles, and said, "You're doing the right thing." But the hurt? It still lingered. You don't just erase decades of longing with one clapback post. You don't undo childhood wounds with likes and private messages of solidarity. So I did something radical. I started planning another baby shower. One that no one in my family would be invited to. Just friends. Chosen family. People who actually saw me. And as the plans came together, I realized something else. This wasn't just about a canceled party. It was about reclaiming something far more powerful, my space in this world. Not as the quiet older sister. Not as the emotional sponge for a spoiled golden child. But as a woman. A mother. A person worthy of celebration. Ava outdid herself. When I told her I wanted to host another baby shower, a real one that wasn't soaked in guilt and shame, she didn't hesitate. She booked her backyard, got her husband to string up fairy lights, and sent out new invites that said, "This time, we party for grace." And people came. Not because they were told to. Not because they felt obligated. But because they wanted to. Elijah's coworkers. My college roommates. Ava's cousins, who I barely knew, but who showed up with diapers and stories and so much laughter that it made me forget I had ever been erased. There was no pastel perfection. No expensive venue. No smug relatives watching from the corner. Just grilled food, homemade decorations, and a playlist made by my husband that accidentally included a few boy band songs from the 2000s. And yet, it was perfect. I was surrounded by joy. Real joy. I looked around and realized, this is what family is supposed to feel like. Support without strings. Love without conditions. Someone brought a guest book, and people wrote messages for the baby. One line from Ava stuck with me. "Your mom is a warrior, and you're entering a world she fought hard to protect." I cried. Not because I was sad, but because for once, I didn't have to hide my feelings to make someone else more comfortable. No one asked me to dim myself for the sake of someone else's shadow. Halfway through the shower, Ava pulled me aside. "You okay?" I smiled. "I think I'm finally okay." That night, as I packed away the tiny onesies and rattles and blessing cards, I felt something settle in me, not just peace, but power. I didn't need Evelyn's approval. I didn't need Madeline's guilt. I didn't even need an apology anymore. What I had was truth, and a new life about to arrive. I thought that would be the end of it. But then, 2 days later, my mother showed up at my door. She rang the bell twice. I wasn't expecting anyone. Elijah was at work, and I was folding baby clothes while humming some lullaby that had been stuck in my head for days. When I opened the door and saw her standing there, pearls, perfect hair, expressionless mask, I didn't say anything. Neither did she. She just looked me up and down like she was inspecting a crack in a wall. "I thought it was time we talked," she said finally. I didn't step aside. I didn't offer tea. I didn't say, "Sure, come in." I just stood there. Because she was the one who raised me to believe silence was polite, and now I was weaponizing it back. Eventually, she huffed and said, "Are you going to let me stand on this porch pregnant with guilt?" "Funny," I said. "You didn't seem that heavy with it when you erased my shower." Her mouth twitched. "That's not fair." "No," I said. "What's not fair is you making my pregnancy about Madeline's affair." She froze. So I kept going. "You canceled my shower. You called people behind my back. You never apologized. And now you show up like you're the one who's been wronged." "I was trying to hold the family together," she said, tone sharpening. "I've always been the one juggling everything." "No," I interrupted. "You've always been the one protecting Maddie from the consequences of her actions. And I was just the emotional garbage disposal, the quiet one, the strong one, the convenient one." Her eyes narrowed. "You think I didn't love you?" I took a breath. "I think you loved me when it was easy. And you loved Madeline even when it wasn't." That silence? That long, hot, damning silence? It was everything. She looked like she wanted to speak again, maybe to defend, maybe to beg. I'll never know. Because I shut the door. Not with anger, not with hatred, but with finality. I locked it. Then I stood on the other side, hand on the handle, breathing like I'd just run a marathon. Maybe I had, a 30-year emotional one. And I had finally reached the finish line. Not to collapse, but to begin. 2 weeks later, I went into labor. It was early, a little too early, but the doctors weren't worried. Elijah rushed us to the hospital, fumbling with his phone, trying to time contractions between red lights and half-whispered affirmations. "I've got you," he kept saying. "We're almost there, baby. Just breathe." And I did. Through every contraction. Through every wave of panic and joy and raw, wild emotion. When I held our daughter in my arms for the first time, I didn't cry. I laughed. Because there she was, perfect, soft, blinking at the world like she already knew she was wanted. Not tolerated. Not compared. Not erased. Wanted. We named her Isla. Her middle name? Hope. Elijah suggested it weeks ago. Because you carried it for both of us. While I was still in recovery, a bouquet arrived. Big. Showy. Expensive. The card said, "Welcome to the world, little one. Love, Grandma Evelyn." I stared at it for a long time, and then I handed it to the nurse. "Can you take this to the bin, please?" The nurse raised an eyebrow, but didn't ask. She just nodded. Because sometimes healing means recognizing what no longer gets to have a place in your new life, even if it once wore the name Mother. We brought Isla home a few days later. And our house? It bloomed. Friends came by. Meals were dropped off. Ava stopped by with lactation cookies and the world's softest blanket. At one point, Elijah looked around the living room, littered with baby toys and half-empty coffee mugs, and said, "This feels like peace." And it did. Not perfection. Not a movie montage. Just peace. No more tightrope walking for approval. No more making myself smaller so someone else could feel big. Just love. Loud. Clumsy. Real. And in that chaos, I realized I had broken the cycle. Isla would never have to wonder if she was too much, too loud, too different, too inconvenient. She would grow up knowing she was enough, simply by existing. And me? I wasn't just her mother. I was my own, too. Finally. A month passed. Then two. And for the first time in my life, I didn't speak to my mother. I didn't call on holidays. I didn't text photos. I didn't send baby updates. And you know what? The world didn't end. My daughter still laughed. My husband still held me at night. Our home still buzzed with joy and milk-stained chaos. Then one morning, I woke up to 4 missed calls. All from Evelyn. No voicemail. No text. Just silence packaged as a warning. And later that day, I got a message from my aunt. "Your mom's worried about you. She says you've completely shut the family out. She just wants to see the baby." I didn't respond. Because by then, I had stopped explaining myself. If they couldn't see what they'd done, if they couldn't grasp why it wasn't just about a baby shower, but about a lifetime of being overlooked, then no explanation would ever be enough. She called again. And again. Finally, a message came through. "Can we talk? Just the two of us. No drama. I miss you." And here's the thing. I did consider it. For a second. Because the girl I used to be would have jumped at the chance. Would have bent, softened, rationalized. But I'm not her anymore. I'm the woman who chose to protect her child, even if it meant breaking with the people who raised me. I'm the woman who found her voice after being told for decades to be quiet. I'm the woman who refused to let guilt dress itself up as family. So I blocked her. Not out of spite, but out of love for myself. For Isla. For the life we were building. There's a picture on our fridge now. Me, Elijah, and Isla in the park. She's laughing. My hair's a mess. His shirt is stained with baby food. It's perfect. Sometimes I look at it and think, this is what family looks like. Not who raised you. Who shows up. Who listens. Who stays.